Broadcasting live from the studios at WLKL 89.9 The Maxa Alternative, the sports show that puts you in the know about Lakers athletics. This is Lakers Live with Chet Novak.
Welcome to Lakers Live. I'm your host, Chet Novak. Lakers head baseball coach Tony Simmons returns to the studio today to talk about the home opener and the progress of the Lakers. Good morning, Coach Simmons.
How you doing, Chet?
Okay, early in the first game, game one, on Friday afternoon, you're down 8 runs, and I turned to my broadcast partner, Travis Sparks, and I'm saying, they're down 8 runs, but this young team needs to understand that that's not a big end-of-the-world issue in a game like this in the early part of a ball game. What do you do to help them along, or do you leave them on their own on the field there at that point?
I was talking to them every inning, telling them to stay up, and then I think it was the third inning, I kind of looked over and I said a few, choice words and said...
Encouragement.
Encouragement, yes, that's the word. I said the wind's blowing out, and he's not an extremely overpowering pitcher, and you have to understand you can score 10 runs in one inning at this level, and especially with aluminum bats, and we saw that. We saw 2 or 3 or 4 bats that are hits that would have been broken bats if they were wood. With aluminum bats, you never know. Wind blowing out, you never know. And so I got on him a little bit, and I said, we need to step it up. And keep our intensity up in the dugout, and because in the home games we have the whole team, so there's 32 players in there, and sometimes you get to have, pockets of guys that get distracted, and I got on them and I said let's go, and they tried to stay up, I think the best they could, and I think they did, and exactly what I said would happen happened. You get a few guys on. I said you can do it with 2 outs, you can do it with 1 out, you never know. And at Illinois State, I remember one game we scored 16 runs on 2 outs, and you never know. And so, I liked that we came back. It was awesome. For the team and for the fans, I think being the first home game, and we took advantage of their pitching. They didn't pitch well. We had 15, 16, 17 walks. And we took advantage of that, and then that first inning there that started it, we had 2 back-to-back walks with 2 outs, and then Don McDuffie hit that triple, and then followed by Dayton's home run, and so you just have to stay positive and keep in the game. We talk about it, it's one man at a time doing his job. We don't need to be rah-rah, clapping all that stuff, but we need to be into the game, because I do think when the team is into the game and you're into the game a little more, your at-bats are going to be a little more positive. And so we did a good job, and I was glad to see that. So
no, I thought they left their starter, I think it was Dennis Brick, in a little bit too long, but on the Lakers end of things, we have Tony Zerusin, who had difficulties. Eric Von Qualen kind of fell in the same boat. So did Pat Coleman. And then eventually Jeff Jenkins comes on and kind of gets things a little more under control than Jared Massengel to close. But overall, just collectively now, it seemed like we don't have a lot of first pitch strikes going on, and we're behind the count in almost every batter. How do you deal with those issues?
Well, I think that, from Tony's standpoint, that was Tony's first chance at a start. And I've been thinking that Tony maybe would become one of our top 4 starters. He has great stuff. He did pitch 2 innings on Monday, and he threw quite hard that game. We did clock him. He was around 88, 89, because he came in a relief role, and he really let it fly. But he should have been ready, and I think he was. He didn't quite have it. He's been in this morning already. We talked a little about it. He thinks that he probably lied on his fastball a little much, and maybe he should have thrown a few more curveballs. But he might have been nervous first home start. So Tony will get another chance, obviously, and he's going to pitch a lot for us. Eric, I think, actually did his job. He got some ground balls, made a couple of errors. I don't know if he was pitching when we had the one when we came home and threw it in the dirt. So Eric's job was to get ground balls, and he did do that. He just, had a little bit of bad luck behind him. Patrick came in, and what we do with Patrick is when Patrick comes in, he usually only pitches with either nobody on or men in scoring position where they don't steal off him, because Pat is very easy to steal off of. Because of his motion, he's very slow to the plate, and they're just going to steal on him every time. So a lot of times we put him out there, like against Lincoln Land, we put him out there, and I said, you're going to start the inning, and if you walk somebody or somebody gets on, you're coming out, And I think the first batter he beaned, and I walked out and took him out, But he's had some really good innings for us, and he will have good innings. And he, I thought, threw okay on Friday. But then we wanted to get Jeff some innings because Jeff is one of our top 4 starters, and he hadn't pitched, so we wanted him to get a few innings, and so he came in and did a great job. Jeff's very crafty. And he did what he does, and that is keep him off balance, throw strikes, and, I'm sure he was happy with his performance, as I was. So.
I thought he gave your team a chance to have a comeback.
Yeah.
He did all he could do.
Right, sure. You come in there, you get him out quickly, you throw strikes, and we talk about that to our pitchers. It's like, as a fielder, it's a lot, it's a lot more fun to be out there when it's strike 1, strike 2, ball 1, strike 3, or strike 1, fly out, strike 1, ground ball, and you have to work quick and you have to throw strikes because your infielders will fall asleep on you. It's just human nature. It's what happens. Now, infielders, you got to fight that, but it does happen, and Jeff was throwing strikes and working quickly. In fact, the umpire was getting on him a little bit too much about Jeff goes to his fingers, he licks his fingers, and you can't do that on the rubber. You got to do it off the rubber. And, he was working so quickly that the umpire was, getting on him about that. But I think that that's what he did. He worked quickly, got outs, and it gave us a chance to get back in because baseball's momentum. I don't think people understand that. It's just like any sport. There is momentum involved, and, you get them out 1, 2, 3, or you get them out quickly, and you come in, and they walk a couple guys, and they're out there now with their shoulders down, and that's how you create that momentum. And so, the pitching obviously leads to the hitting. There's days if you go out there and you bat in the first inning and you get a bunch of hits, it can maybe affect the pitching. But usually the pitching will affect the game and the tempo, So, we were excited for Jeff, and he's pitched well all year. He has, And, we've got a dilemma here with Jeff because he's our only left-hander. And like I said, we look at, do we keep him as a starter or do we have him where we maybe can use him, in almost every other game, in spots where we need him. We've got to decide what's best for the team from that standpoint, and we're going to look at that in the next, few days. So
yeah, being the only lefty, I was kind of wondering that myself. If he remains in rotation, as you go down the line in GRAC Conference, you may want that lefty-righty matchup or lefty-lefty. And
it is something we have to look at. Being the only lefty, it's a problem.
Okay, we'll be right back with more from Coach Simmons after a short break. You are listening to Lakers Live on WLKL 89.9, the Max Alternative.
This is Corey.